Menkaure, also known as Mykerinos, is considered the last true king of the 4th dynasty. He was the son of King Khafre and grandson of Khufu. Born into Egypt's most powerful royal dynasty, he inherited not just a throne, but also the responsibility of continuing the legacy of the great pyramid builders of Giza. And yet, unlike his father and grandfather, Menkaure is often remembered not for sheer size or domination, but for balance, justice, and a surprising sense of humanity for his time. His story is one of balancing tradition and change, of power tempered with justice, and of death that might have come too soon. Ancient records describe Menkaure as a fair and just ruler, while Khufu and Khafre were sometimes depicted as harsh or even tyrannical in later traditions. Menkaure stood out as a pharaoh who cared for his people. The historian Herodotus, writing centuries later, claimed that Menkaure opened the temples and allowed Egyptians more freedom to worship, easing the restrictions that previous kings had imposed. Yet Menkaure's reign was not only about kindness. He faced the weight of dynastic expectation. The pyramids of Giza were already the most awe-inspiring monuments on Earth, and he was destined to leave his own mark on the plateau. The question wasn't if he would build a pyramid, but what kind of pyramid would it be? His eventual choice was far smaller than his predecessors. Today, the smallest of the 3 Giza pyramids originally stood about 65 meters high. What it lacked in size, it made up for in quality. The lower levels were encased in massive red granite blocks far more difficult to quarry and shape than the limestone used by his ancestors. In fact, these blocks were so expertly cut that some were reused in later structures, suggesting that Menkaure didn't just value fine craftsmanship, but also saw the symbolic power in reusing materials from previous projects. It was a subtle shift in thinking, a move away from the almost brutal display of wealth and power embodied by Khufu's Great Pyramid and replaced it with something more refined, more symbolic. But behind this decision lies a mystery. Was Menkaure consciously shifting away from the grandeur of his ancestors? Or was his reign simply too short to realize a larger monument? Some ancient traditions claim that Menkaure's time as king was unexpectedly cut short, leaving his pyramid unfinished. To understand Menkaure's legacy, we must first look at his origins. According to the ancient Egyptians, each pharaoh was chosen by Ra, the sun god, to maintain the concept of truth, order, and justice in the world. Menkaure's lineage traced back directly to Ra, making him not just a descendant of the mighty Khufu, but a vessel of divine power. He came to the throne after his father, Khafre, and his grandfather, Khufu, had shaped Egypt into a realm of unimaginable wealth and power. They ruled during a period known as the Old Kingdom, a time when Egypt was at the height of its influence. During their reigns, Egypt became the richest and most powerful state in the known world, and by the time Menkaure took the throne, the Giza Plateau had become a testament to their power, housing the largest pyramids ever constructed. Yet, for all their achievements, there were cracks beginning to show in their seemingly impenetrable reign. As Egypt grew, so did the gap between the pharaohs and their subjects. The immense wealth required to build such colossal structures inevitably led to heavier taxes and increased demands on the populace. While Khufu and Khafre were celebrated for their grand projects, whispers of discontent may have begun to ripple through the kingdom. This tension between the pharaoh's unimaginable power and the realities of life for ordinary Egyptians was a backdrop against which Menkaure came to the throne. According to Mykerinos, an Egyptian historian from the 3rd century BC, Menkaure ruled for 63 years. Though this figure is likely a product of Mykerinos' desire to synthesize the reigns of the 3 builder kings into neat decades. Other evidence suggests that Menkaure's reign was considerably shorter, perhaps no more than 10 to 12 years. His relatively short tenure is also backed by modern scholarship, which estimates that the construction of his pyramid began around 2500 BCE and was abandoned roughly a century later, suggesting a king whose reign might have been longer than his predecessors, but still far from legendary. The shift in power dynamics is subtly illustrated in the way Menkaure's name was pronounced differently than his predecessors. While Khufu's name was closer to how it's written today, and Khafre's name had a slight alteration, Menkaure's name was pronounced Menkaure, a departure from the traditional pronunciation of Khufu and Khafre's names. This subtle change reflects a new era in Egyptian history. A new king, a new era, a new way of being seen. When Menkaure ascended the throne, he inherited not just a kingdom, but a legacy. His predecessors had raised the bar for Egyptian pharaohs, setting a standard of power and prestige that was hard to match. The pressure was immense, and many rulers before and after him had crumbled under the weight of expectations. Yet Menkaure seemed to rise to the occasion. He didn't seek to outdo his father or grandfather, but to stand beside them, offering a different kind of leadership. This new approach was evident not only in his treatment of the people, but also in his building projects. Menkaure chose to construct his pyramid on the Giza plateau, following in the footsteps of his forefathers. Each king of the fourth dynasty had built their pyramid here, creating a legacy that was as much about location as it was about the pyramids themselves. But while his predecessors had built their pyramids as tombs for their remains, Menkaure's pyramid was built with the intention of housing his spirit. After his death, his body was mummified and placed in a stone boat within the pyramid. This practice marked a departure from the burial practices of his ancestors. As you enter the pyramid, you walk through a series of passages until you reach the central chamber. Inside, the room is empty. The supposed sarcophagus of Menkaure has never been found. Why the future burial chamber was left empty remains a mystery, deepening the enigma surrounding the unfinished pyramid. It could be that the plan changed, the resources were diverted elsewhere, or perhaps it was a result of Menkaure's untimely demise. The idea that Menkaure's reign might have been cut short adds another layer of intrigue to his story. According to ancient texts, his death might have been caused by his wife, Queen Itet, who is portrayed as a seductress and a schemer. The story goes that Itet, dissatisfied with Menkaure's choice of successor, plotted against him with her lover, possibly a member of the royal court. On the day of Menkaure's death, the queen was supposedly grinding corn in a hand mill as a form of penance, symbolizing her fall from grace. The tale underscores the lengths to which the queen might have gone to secure her position and fulfill her own ambitions. Some historians argue that the abrupt end to Menkaure's reign might have been a pivotal moment in Egyptian history, marking the decline of the fourth dynasty and the end of an era of monumental construction. With the unfinished pyramids standing as a silent testament to his untimely demise, Menkaure's death might have left a power vacuum that led to instability and ultimately contributed to the decline of the Old Kingdom. In contrast, the stories of his father and grandfather were epic tales of power and grandeur. Khufu's name echoed with the might of his pyramid, while Khafre's legacy was intertwined with the mystery of his Sphinx. But Menkaure's story was different. It was a story of restraint, of justice, and of a death that might have come too soon. As we reflect on Menkaure's legacy, we're left with more questions than answers. Did Menkaure intentionally break from his father's legacy, or was his reign simply cut short? How did his subjects view him, as a benevolent ruler or as a weak leader? And what was the role of Queen Itet in his untimely demise? These questions are a testament to the complexity of Menkaure's legacy and the challenges of understanding a ruler who defied easy categorization. While Khufu and Khafre remain iconic figures in ancient Egyptian history, Menkaure offers a different kind of lens through which to view their era. He reminds us that greatness doesn't always come in grand monuments or epic tales, but can also be found in the quiet moments of justice and the subtle shifts that shape the course of history. In the end, Menkaure's story is a reminder that history is rarely black and white, and that even in the shadows, there is power and wisdom to be found.